Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mike rolls on this Wednesday morning. News came down yesterday. I think there might have been a small faction of Bison fans that were hoping they were going to see Elle Evans decide that she was going to return to North Dakota State, but she announced yesterday that she is transferring to the University of Kansas in Lawrence in the Big 12 Conference. Yesterday, I had a chance to visit with Elle on a wide range of things, everything from the decision to leave, how the decision was made, the reaction to said decision, and why Kansas was the place to go. I want you to keep your ears open for a couple things she says in this interview. We recorded it yesterday on A, who was talking to her, and B, how the whole thing played out. Here's our conversation we had with Elle Evans about transferring to Kansas.
I think first and foremost, I've kind of been familiar with the coaching staff there and also just Kansas basketball kind of in general. So when I first heard from them out of the portal, it was kind of like a sense of comfort. And, my first phone calls with both the coaches that I talked to right away I just felt comfortable with them just because I already kind of had a little bit of a previous relationship with them. So I think that was like the very first thing that struck out to me. And then obviously they were my first visit. So I took my visit there and I kind of knew, once I got there that this felt like home and this felt like a place that I could be. But I did continue with the process a little bit just to get somewhere else to, kind of compare things to. And, I didn't want to rush anything with all that. So I did continue the process a little bit. But I really kind of knew that I had a good feeling about KU and, all the coaches and the girls and everything. So, yeah.
Morgan told me you heard from everybody. Tell me was this overwhelming? I mean, when did it even exceed your own expectations of when going in about what you heard?
Yeah. I didn't really know what to expect whenever I first entered. You hear about people like going into the portal and not ending up anywhere. So, I didn't really know what to expect, but I will say right away, like it was shocking, just because how fast everything does, and how fast everything moves in this process. Cause it's different from out of high school. You take the whole entire recruiting process and slim it down to like a month. So I will say it was kind of overwhelming, but I think I handled it well. Like I took the first like week or so and like responded to people, kind of kept my options open. But I will say after a week of being in the portal, I really was able to like narrow down my choices and make a good list of a solid few places that, I was super interested in wanting to learn more. But the first couple of days, it was crazy. Like I was on the phone for the whole day, which is it's nice to do that because it
Yeah.
means people are interested. But it was wild. I wasn't expecting it to be like that, but
I'm interested just because you did this differently where I've seen other athletes where they put their offers out there. You played this pretty close to the vest. Was that on purpose that I don't want it out there until I know where I'm going to go?
yeah, I feel like I've also just kind of been more of like a person that just I'm not like public about a lot of stuff, so I just kind of like to keep stuff to myself for the most part. But yeah, I don't really know why I'm like that, but I just feel like that's how I do a lot of things, not even just like with recruiting, but I feel like I like to keep things like close and personal and, inside my circle. But I will say, obviously, a lot of people have already called me and texted me. They had no idea I was even in the portal. People from home, like they see my posts and stuff now and they're super surprised. But no, I'm glad to have gotten it out now and kind of get the word out. And yeah.
Tell me about your conversations with Jory when the season ended. How difficult was that? And what was the impetus to say, I want to go in, I want to see what's out there?
Yeah, obviously, I think that this decision to go into the portal was probably one of the toughest decisions I've made just because of how much I've enjoyed my time here and how great of a relationship I have with everyone here, not even just Jory, but all the coaches and all the girls. So, I still think this is probably one of the toughest decisions I've made just because, you know, I did love it here and I had good success here and we did too as a program. But, nowadays, like he kind of understood. But obviously it's tough and like I felt kind of bad about it, but I feel like he handled it well, and they're still going to be great. They got some great players out of the portal, and they have some two good freshmen coming in. So I think they'll be okay. But he was very helpful in the process too, and everyone's been supportive of me through this. So yeah, I'm not a part of the team anymore, but they still made me feel like part of the family, which was nice and comforting.
I guess I was going to ask about that with Jory's private, previous connection with Kansas. Was there's some help there, or how did that work, if at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was, um, whenever I told them that I was fairly good chance of entering the portal, he was like, "Well, obviously, if I can help you in any way, like I will more than well do what you want me to do." So obviously he brought up Kansas, but um, at that point, like I was just like, "Oh, like yeah, whatever. Like I'll keep my options open. Like you can talk to them like if you want and like see what happens." But I wasn't like, "Yes, for sure. Like get me in right away." So I just kind of wanted to play out a little bit.
Yeah.
But so obviously I'm pretty sure he had conversations about it. So super grateful to him and for him to help me out throughout this whole entire process and everything.
Was there? You don't have to name the school, or you can if you want. But was there a school that you heard from said, "Holy cow, they want to talk to me"? Was there one that came across like that?
I'd say yeah. I mean, there's a couple. I mean, I heard from like Iowa, Oregon, Washington, Gonzaga, Creighton, just Indiana, and like Maryland. The list just it goes on and on. But I think going through this process and talking to all these people, it was really interesting to see kind of um, how different each place is and how different like coaches go about recruiting through the portal. So I mean, everyone does it different. So it was definitely interesting to see like the way like certain coaches were handling it. And I was able with that process, like I was able to, okay, so that is something that I could see myself playing for this person, or also I couldn't. But I mean, it was unreal,
Mm.
honestly, the amount of people and the kinds of universities that were
Yeah.
contacting me. But yeah.
Is there? And this isn't all on you, so it's unfair to ask, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Just for fans that got supportive of your team, and then this decision happens, and you have to look out for yourself, and that's obviously number one priority. There are fans that say, "Boy, it's tough to get behind the team when someone leaves of your caliber." Does that what's your reaction to that? Is that how do you balance that, knowing you loved your time here, but you also there's an opportunity to go somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm the only person leaving this year. Obviously, with the graduation of Heaven, so we're losing a lot of scoring, but we're returning so many key players, and we have so many returners and the freshmen that are going to be able to step up this year. So yeah, we've lost, two, I guess, so to speak, huge players, but there are going to be people that are going to be able to step in without a doubt. And, I'll be rooting for them and supporting them, and I'll be obviously watching along. But I think for people in Fargo and the Bison like Nation, there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to be exactly where we left off, if not even better here. So obviously the continued support, we had some great home games with great crowds this year. So to continue that will be amazing because, this team is still going to go on and do great things. And I'm super happy for them.
What was your conversation with the girls? How did that go? Was that how tough was that?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously kind of hard. I had to go to each one individually just because we were on our break still. But there were tears shed a couple times, obviously, just because, these are my best friends. I spent every day with them. So to leave them is obviously super hard, but they were all super supportive and understanding. And, just because I'm leaving doesn't mean the friendship ends. So, I mean, I've made lifelong friends here. So, obviously just having their support and stuff means a lot to me, and I'll be able to take those friendships obviously throughout my whole entire life. So obviously the conversations were super tough, but like I said, they were supportive, and I feel like took it really well.
How many on-campus visits, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask, and you don't have to answer. How many on-campus visits do you actually take besides Kansas?
I only took two visits.
Okay.
So before I actually started planning my visits, I narrowed down to a very few list of schools. But like I said, Kansas was my first. And then I waited I went to Clemson. Clemson was my other visit. But I want to say that was, I think it was 2 weeks after
Okay.
Kansas. I waited quite a while. But right after I got back, um, after comparing the two, I was like, okay, I know Kansas is the place for me. So I made that decision pretty quick after I got back from my last visit.
What are you most excited about this level? You're gonna be playing some unreal Kansas State, Colorado. I mean, these are teams that are really good. What are you most excited about this challenge now ahead?
Yeah, I think just like you said, playing at a higher level just to see, the difference in, talent level will be insane. But, a lot of talk right now is about how big women's basketball is and how it's growing and the fan bases and the attendance records and all that. So I think moving to this level, just being a part of that, not only just a couple games out of the season, but for the majority of the games, I think that's one thing that was obviously super important to me in this process is playing in front of a good fan base because nothing's better than playing in a packed gym. So I think I'm going to play in a couple of those these next coming years. So I'm super excited about that part of it.
Is it a relief to have it all over?
100%. I was telling people, I was like, I just feel so refreshed now. Like I don't have to worry about anything. And I obviously actually formally committed and signed a couple of days ago, but I waited a little bit to announce it. So I will say after announcing it, I feel better too. Just because, you have people asking, where are you going? Like, what are you
Yeah.
thinking? Like, da, da, da. So I will say it is relieving to have this done.
Last question for me is just your time in Fargo. What will you remember most about it?
Oh gosh. This is hard. I think definitely the biggest thing I'll remember, I already touched on it a little bit, is just the relationships and the people here. Um, I think coming here was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my entire life, and I made that as a high schooler, which is crazy to think about. But lifelong friends, lifelong relationships, these people will always have my back and I'll always have theirs. So I think just like looking back on all the memories with my teammates, the girls, all the coaches, and also just Bison Nation. After the game, signing little girls' t-shirts, just little stuff like that. I think I didn't take any of that for granted. I'm super grateful and so thankful for all the support that the Fargo community gave not only me but NDSU women's basketball the past 2 years. And I'm just super excited to see it grow in the future. But I will say the people and the relationships are probably the most thing that I'm going to miss.
And that's a conversation I had with Elle Evans yesterday, and I appreciate her time. That's one of the few athletes that I have actually had a chance to speak with upon transferring out. And I already got an email about, well, I don't care to hear from Elle, disloyal. That's baloney to me. I think there are people, I don't care of the loyalty part. It's 2024. You're either going to stay or you're going to go. I think our audience is smart enough that wants to know why. And you heard it. You heard the schools. And I mean, I'm not a great basketball mind, but I'm fairly certain Iowa's pretty good. Indiana's pretty good. Clemson's pretty good. Kansas is pretty good. That's just tip of the iceberg of what she heard from. And yes, there is a large monetary piece to this. And yes, I get it. You can be upset that she decided to leave and not stay. You can be mad. I'm not going to tell you how to feel. You want to be mad? Fine. But there's also the reality of where we're at. And I said it after last season. It's going to be really hard for NDSU to hang on to Elle Evans. They got 2 years. Yeah, they found her. Yeah, they discovered her. That's the ultimate challenge of what happens right now for schools at this level. She's going to be dynamite to watch. She's going to be really good in the Big 12. I firmly believe that. We'll break. We got a few emails to get to and wrap up hour one here on this Wednesday morning. Jaden Price coming up on our second hour as well about signing with the Atlanta Falcons. We roll on this Wednesday. Back after this.